You know what I mean?
Yo, we're live. God, that thing reeks. We're fucking live, guys.
A cigarette? You mean?
Cigarette. It's week 7. Lots going down. We're 6 weeks into the fucking this season.
I just blew the smoke in his face.
Get out of here, you bastard.
I know. I was worried he was gonna punch me, but I was like, I got to do it because we're live.
So yeah, we want to talk about this segment.
Because at least if you punch me, I got it on video and I could prosecute your ass in a civil court of law. See, I didn't even flinch.
All right, guys. So we want to talk about a segment today. It's called Damaged Goods, and these are guys that for 6 weeks it's been kind of they started off hot, and now it's been kind of rough waters.
Yeah, I feel like the name is self-explanatory, Aaron.
Like, yeah,
Damaged Goods.
Yeah, like so if you're trading for these types of players, it's like you might not get what you thought you were going to get. Probably the biggest example would be Matt Forte. After 2 weeks killing it, he's had 4 weeks of just downward trend.
Bad news.
I think a guy that actually hasn't had a good start would be Julian Edelman, but he still has kind of
Edelman.
He has kind of
What to do with Edelman?
Edelman's tough.
The age-old question.
He's definitely damaged goods at this point, especially with foot soreness going on, is what I've heard from the reports.
Yes.
But I haven't read. But so he's
Your
damaged
inside
goods.
source in the field.
Alan Hearns could be considered damaged goods as well.
Yeah, I want to get back to Edelman. It's an iffy subject. I feel like owners of Edelman are just waiting for him to break out.
Right.
But,
I say give him 1 more week.
The foot soreness, you got to understand, this guy has, go off history, anytime he's had this foot ailment, I think it happened a little bit last year and the year before. The guy just disappears. He's irrelevant because he relies on that stop and start ability. He's kind of like that, he's just a typical slot receiver, like a guy that runs like to the inside then cuts to the outside real quick. And he relies on those quick, agile moves, and you need to be able to plant your foot and make that move. So if he can't do that, he's basically useless. So just my advice is just to keep reading the reports, keep monitoring the situation. Definitely try to trade him if you can package him with someone else and get someone else.
It's going to have to be a package.
It's going to be tough to trade. Like you don't want to downgrade.
Whenever I see Edelman's name on a trade, I think, why do I want to have that problem?
This is what you got to do. Is just who do you think if a healthy Edelman, given all the talent in New England, just another guy in the mix. Let's say a 15-point-a-week Edelman. Go after someone like that. Maybe a Jeremy Maclin. He's due for a breakout here in the second half of the year. He's got a favorable schedule. There's a few others you could definitely look at. Just look at the player list. And just imagine the similar production, but then you're going to have to trade like a running back or another player with Edelman to get that guy.
Jordan Matthews would be kind of that ballpark area. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I feel like that's a downgrade, though, from a typical Edelman. And this is an important one because he could be really good if healthy, or he's just going to take up space on your lineup and you're just kind of waiting for him to do something. That's why I say don't wait until he has a big game, but try to trade him in the meantime if you can.
I feel like I'm going to give Edelman 1 more week. So I feel like if it's a bye week, this is a big bye week. A lot of Panthers are out, other teams as well. But I'd say give him 1 more week. But if he can't do it after this week, then you won't be able to trade him. And dropping him is just not an option. You're basically stuck. So
that's why I say you can trade him if you package him with another player with value and get a guy that has similar value to what you think Edelman should be getting. Don't use the player you're trading with to get don't equate his value at all. Just throw another good look in there with Edelman and get someone that's going to be more reliable in the meantime if you desperately need to do so. But at the same time, maybe he gets healthy last 4 weeks of the fantasy year, week 10 through 14. That propels you in the playoffs. You never freaking know, man. That's a month away.
Right, but right now we're not high on Julian because of the foot thing, and he just hasn't even done anything yet this year, so there's no reason to believe that he's going to start doing things. Yeah. So it's a dire situation. I feel bad for all Julian Edelman owners. But what are you going to do?
He's hurt, but he's out there playing, so it's not the worst case scenario.
But it's not best.
At the same time, if he was hurt, you're kind of leaning on that what if factor when he comes back.
It's almost like just get hurt so I can drop you, and not
get hurt.
You don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? But right now, if someone drops it, it's just kind of it doesn't look good.
I feel like Brady will get Edelman his eventually.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Give him 1 more week. I think
I don't want anyone to come back on us or you in particular and be like, oh, Aaron was saying he sucks. I don't want, you know who I'm talking about. I don't want that person to be like, oh, you were wrong, Aaron. Fuck you for saying that.
Since the return of Brady, I feel like all the
like,
Patriots have eaten.
I feel
think
like
it's
Aaron
Edelman's
knows.
turn
I feel
to
like
eat.
you know that Edelman will eventually. Brady will make it a point to have Edelman. Edelman will get like a 2-touchdown, 10-catch game or some shit.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the tactician that Brady is and that Belichick is, they're gonna get Edelman 1 or 2 games.
Right. Now,
Even with the
week
injured
to do
foot.
it. So,
But you would love him just to get healthy.
I think against Philadelphia, you can start him. And
yeah, that's a better question.
It's just got to do it one more time, and if you can't do it against Philly,
I don't know.
I don't know.
It just depends on who you got. Coming at it from an objective perspective, we obviously don't know every roster. We haven't seen all the fucking fancy teams, but let's assume you have like a better flex option that you can play for Edelman. Then go ahead and do it.
Even if you want to go take a risk on Cameron Meredith at this point.
Yeah, that's actually a good. Cameron Meredith is the guy to trade.
And
he's like the guy you can trade for with all these damaged goods we're about to talk about.
Yeah,
so
Cameron Meredith,
we're through with.
All the players
segue.
we mentioned, trade for Cameron Meredith.
Yeah,
let's
go. Segue.
Hoyer Nation. Should we talk about Hoyer as damaged goods?
We could. We brought that up. I talked about that like right before
we're
we
talking
started
about about Cameron Meredith.
We'll just segue right into that, and then we'll talk about Howard too. But yeah, and
right,
Jeffrey.
Jordan Howard. Yeah, we'll talk about the Bears. We'll
fucking
get it in.
Hoyer, I think you got to say he's trending downward because of the Bears' inability to score in the red zone. Like it just seems to be a trend since he's come in, and for the field goal kickers, like whoever they got, who the fuck's their kicker?
Connor Barth.
He's kind of been like a decent little look these past couple weeks, but
yeah, I guess if Hoyer can't score, Connor Barth will.
I'm not saying. I
still got 300 yards.
Yeah, I still think he's startable, but you would have loved to see him a touchdown against the Jags. It would have been nice. It would have.
I don't
really
like the Packers.
We wouldn't be
matchup.
talking about him if that had happened.
I don't like this matchup against the Packers. However,
yeah, so
that's why I say
the Bears downward.
I think the Bears will win a weird game. I think the Bears will win this game.
Yeah, we both predicted.
I don't know. It's just a weird. It'll be like a weird week. Thursday night football is usually sloppy football.
The Packers aren't all that, but they could break out against the Bears.
I don't know.
We're going with the Bears because we still believe.
Do you start Brian Hoyer if you got Cam on a bye week and say you have Brian Hoyer or say you have a plethora of guys, maybe you have Big Ben. Do you start Hoyer on Thursday night against the Pack?
Well, obviously, yeah. If you don't have a quarterback,
or do you look at other options?
Not owning any of your leagues, then Hoyer's a guy he should be starting at this point. He's been one of the best quarterbacks since taking over.
Yeah, no interceptions. 2 back-to-back 300 yards plus passing yards.
No touchdowns doesn't equate to a bad game. It's just like it's a team sport. Like there's other things, man. I mean, Bears commit penalties. Like they had more penalties than the Jaguars. Sometimes there's poor decisions, poor play calling. It's a plethora of things. It's not all on Hoyer. That being said, against the Packers it's a tough matchup. But I still think if you don't have a better look, then go out there and get him. I mean, unless like Kirk Cousins is available because he can have a huge game.
Yeah, Kirk.
But Hoyer's a safe, reliable start because he isn't turning the ball over. He's not fumbling. He's making the right reads. If it's man-to-man coverage, he's throwing to the guy that gets open. Now he just needs to be more successful later in the game and in the red zone and doing that. And if he does, then yeah, he catapults back into top 5 range because you got to go off the numbers he's provided.
Just get those 2 touchdowns with the 300 yards.
Yeah, I mean
and they converted
4 straight 300-yard games.
And they've converted a lot of third downs. I remember a lot of 3rd and 7s to Alshon.
Yeah, and we've been watching them. They look a lot better. They're moving the chains.
Yeah, it's just
the football
sad that
games
they
are
can't
interesting
finish.
To watch. Yeah, they just can't finish. But there's a ways to lose and there's ways not to.
All right, so
they're playing tough. And,
we like Hoyer.
I like Hoyer.
If you have other options, you maybe stick with other options. But Hoyer's not the worst look this week if you have to plug and play. Obviously, there's other quarterbacks. Mariota could be available. Tannehill could be available. There's lots of guys.
Yeah, what about Jordan Howard as damage goods?
All right, so I don't think Jordan Howard's trending downward.
Based on like what if they go back to a split what do they call that, like when it's 2 running backs? Fucking I don't even know there's a term. But it's they could start splitting carry they could start splitting carries with Kareem Carey. I'm worried that Langford will come back and dig into some of that production and all the touches and looks that Howard's been getting. And I also saw him drop a few passes, and that's not a good omen. I don't like seeing running backs drop open passes. And just never really found lanes against Jacksonville. And granted, Jacksonville's front 7 is much improved, and don't sleep on Jacksonville. Like they lose good games too. They're not getting blown out. They're in the football games. They play tough. So it was just one of those weird games where no one could really get going on the run game because both defense came ready to play. But that being Jordan Howard, he's still worth mentioning that you got to look out for these other running backs in Chicago coming in and taking some of those carries. The past couple weeks, he was the only guy getting all the loves. I think week 1 he had like 30-plus touches, and the game plan was clearly centered around him. This week, it wasn't. And he wasn't in there in the red zone in the third or fourth quarter. Like I said, he dropped a few passes. So that's why I say, like, I was thinking he was like a or running back 1 possible keeper, but now I'm starting to think maybe I got ahead of myself with that one.
I don't think you did, Mike. I think as a rookie, he's definitely made a strong case as a guy that's worth investing in. Consider Ezekiel Elliott's Week 2 game where he fumbled twice. Alfred Morris scores a touchdown. Maybe Howard was having a bad day, but I'm really hoping because he's shown flashes of promise.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think it was just a weird game.
I just gotta worry that they're gonna like.
At this
he's
point,
not the feature back anymore.
Yeah,
like,
so are you saying
they might be spelling him more often?
Are you saying trade him?
I'm not saying trading him.
Well, I mean,
it's a tough matchup.
His
against
value,
the Packers.
what you're saying, his value could potentially just continue to trend downward.
Actually, you should try to trade him this week against. He's going against the Packers. That's a tough defense.
That's a good
Although
defense.
Ezekiel just kind of like.
That's
dominating,
Ezekiel.
But a lot of that's the offensive line. The Bears' offensive line's prone to mistakes, and they're not as consistent.
I think the Packers are in a funk. I mean, like I said, maybe the Bears actually show up and just surprise a lot of people.
It's not going to be the type of game.
It's going to be Thursday night. It's going to be sloppy.
Game,
it's going to be...
Maybe not. The Bears have not been playing sloppy football lately. The Packers have been playing sloppier football.
All right, well, hopefully the sloppiness
like I said,
is
the
just
Bears just are not... It's not like a high-octane offense. Like, the talent really isn't there. They have some nice pieces, and they're running.
They need more explosion on.
It's just it's a grinded-out football team. Like they make a mistake that fucks up the drive, and that's just what happens. I mean, this is the NFL. The other teams are good. Like, if you fuck up, if you get a holding call, it's really hard to make up for that for most teams. In most scenarios, like that just stalls the drive completely more times than not. And that's been the Bears' Achilles heel is these stupid penalties, field position games. Like, I think against the Jags, they had one inside the 5 they had to start with. That being said, like, against the Saints, like with Drew Brees and the Saints, that's never a problem. That's just opportunity for a huge play. But the Bears are not the fucking Saints. So,
okay, well, I think
if you can, like I said, try to trade Howard, but at the same time,
I say
you can you can hold on to him and see what happens, but you don't want to be, like, missing out on the value he has right now.
That's a good point.
You know,
so
something happens,
he's
the
very
other running backs come in.
enigmatic. It's very he's an enigma.
It's kind of like the C.J. Anderson, Devontae Booker.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Topic.
I think C.J. Anderson. Let's move on to the Broncos because C.J. Anderson is damaged goods at this point. He's had 4 games in a row under 50 yards rushing. It looks like Devontae Booker. They want to bring him into the fold, and he catches passes. I don't know. It's something to see.
Yeah,
but
it's the same
don't trade for C.J. Anderson.
Howard,
and if you want to trade C.J. Anderson, I say do it now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing. It's kind of like
hope
with
they don't
Jordan
read the
Howard.
articles.
If you can trade CJ, then go ahead. If you feel like you're getting a good deal in return, then definitely we could sit here and come up with a bunch of different trade options, but we don't have the time for that. So yes, you can afford to sit on CJ Anderson at the same time
I feel like
too.
Lacy for CJ Anderson is a perfect trade for both parties. It's
yes.
like both have the inherent amounts of risk. Lacy might not even play this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I would try to. I mean, I think you can get maybe a little bit better for CJ.
I don't know. I mean, it just depends. I just feel like Jordan Howard is Devontae Booker, but he's already gotten his chance. I think right now we're waiting on Devontae Booker to kind of take that role, and hopefully he does at the end of the year because that would just be exciting and be fun for.
It's possible
fans.
That happens. It's
possible that CJ gets it going.
That's why it's fun to play the prospect game.
Yeah,
that's why I say it's kind of the same situation with Howard, although he is the prospect in that scenario. But
right.
Carries last game came in, got 9 carries, and he outperformed from a yards per carry standpoint in a bigger play. I think he had like a 12-yard run where Howard's longest was 9 yards. So Howard only had like 15 or 16 carries or something like that, and Carey had 9. Yeah, it's really not that far apart. So what if it moves to like 14 carries against the Packers? Because if they don't get the run going with Howard early, then they're going to move to Carey. Same thing in Denver. If they don't get the run going with CJ, if it's clear he's not going to do much, they're going to bring Booker in. Or it's a scenario where for both teams, the second running back's already in the game plan, and they're just going to use him regardless if CJ or Howard does well. So it's the NFL teams are moving more towards this like philosophy and this tactic, you could say, of the 2 running backs and just utilizing both of them. Some teams are successful with it, some aren't. Ultimately, it's good to be versatile though, and I think that's as much if you can get as many like good players on the field as possible throughout a game, then you should definitely take advantage of it. Is Booker better than C.J. Anderson? He certainly looked better than him this last week. I'll say that. So yeah, same thing as Jordan Howard. C.J. Anderson's in the same boat. Trade both of them for Cameron Meredith.
All right, let's talk about Demaryius Thomas now. This is the Broncos themselves as a whole team have trended downward. It's just been kind of like, what the fuck happened these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
the
been
last couple weeks you had Simeon out, and then he came back. San Diego, like that was kind of foreseen. A lot of people were saying San Diego was like a good bet that night. After the way Denver played the week before and DeMarcus Ware being out, you're starting to feel the effects of that. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback like they were with him in the lineup. So things are happening in Denver, and it's not positive from a fantasy perspective. So yes, Demaryius Thomas. Is he damaged goods? That's a... What's up? BigMoneyJizz.com. My dad just said BigMoneyJizz.com.
Yeah, it's got all the
You forgot Big Money Jizz time. Yeah, he walked away.
Anyways,
yeah. So Demaryius Thomas, do you trade him?
Yeah,
do you play him? I think you can still play him because he's just that guy that can have the big 40-point game.
I know. Even Paxton Lynch, when he was playing, it was a horrible game. Demaryius got a score, so that was kind of nice.
I like Demaryius. I would love to have him.
But right now, there's a funk going on in Denver. Maybe Trevor Siemian is just sore.
Maybe it's the type of situation where you can trade a guy like C.J. Anderson or Jordan Howard. But probably not C.J. Anderson, but maybe like a Jordan Howard for Demaryius. Maybe package Jordan Howard with like another receiver. Maybe someone that's, maybe a Jordan Matthews type if you happen to have someone like that. Some mid-tier,
guy
you could be getting someone
number one,
good.
A mid-tier number one.
Yeah, who knows?
Either way, Demaryius has been a scary start. I mean, yeah, he's probably going to end up with a lot more points, but it's just been a frustrating road, and it's like he's a scary flex. He's become a flex play.
He's definitely now what we've become used to.
Like, you don't want him as your
production.
number 1 or 2. He's like a flex guy at this point.
He's probably like the 7th or 8th number 2. He's probably ranked like in the low 30s, maybe mid 30s.
I don't know. So I feel like if you got someone that likes him, trade him.
Yeah, that's the problem with Demaryius is you expect more. He's actually not doing that bad. He's not doing great because it's Demaryius Thomas. You kind of expect more, but he's honestly like doing a lot better than some of the starts I've seen across both the leagues I'm in. I could, I don't have them. I could have hundreds of leagues like a lot of these other fuckers that you see doing this for a living. We're not for profit, by the way, so you can donate anytime you want. But we don't do that. Like, I just like to have a few teams, and if I had more teams than I, just a couple, then I'd fucking have every fucking good player. Like, I would, at one point, I'd have everyone that's dope. Like, it's just not even fun. Like, of course you're going to be an expert. Of course this is easy. You have so many teams. But when you narrow it down, it's kind of like you pick and choose which ones you want to go off of. And like a Demaryius Thomas, I decided not to own him in any league because, it's not fun owning him, man. If you want to win, sometimes it is. But that being said, you're not really getting the type of production you want out of him, so it's been a disappointment for you.
And he could be damaged goods. You could trade for him, and then he puts up a fucking stinker.
We're talking about how he's damaged goods. That's not cool.
He could put up a stinker for you the first one you get him.
And he's hard to trade.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's just hard to trade.
He's got a high name value, but he's not performing, so it's just a weird situation.
Just tough. Like, who do you trade him for? Jordy Nelson?
Yeah, what's the value scale?
You can't do that because Jordy's getting a touchdown in every game. Who do you trade him for? Cole Beasley? You can't do that because it's Cole Beasley. Like, you're going to trade Demaryius Thomas for Cole Beasley? Hell no. But Cole Beasley's outperforming Demaryius Thomas. Well, I don't care. It's Demaryius Thomas. That's what we're talking about here, folks. He's hard to trade. So those that own him, my advice is just play him. Keep him in your lineup because, just lower your expectations a bit. Just he's become kind of like this Deshaun Jackson type where he's either going to get you 20 or it's going to be a disappointment. But he still gets you some good love. It's just not like in the 30s every week like we've seen in the past. He's no longer a top 10 look at this point. And I think that's safe to say, given Trevor Siemian, he's had some good games. He's also had some bad ones. It's going to be an up and down occasion for that guy for the rest of the year if he manages to stay healthy. And also you got, those other guys. Those other guys getting looks. Emmanuel Sanders still gets targets, and
all right,
they're starting to throw to these other fuckers too.
What about okay? So let's just start throwing some names out there instead of like just focusing on teams. Let's just throw some names out. First thing that comes to mind is Isaiah Crowell, damaged goods, or is he a guy that like Cleveland? You just gotta just ride it out.
I feel like he's just the guy you got to trade. Like,
and he does move around. He's got a lot of maneuverability, as
just
you mentioned earlier.
Just trade him for someone good.
Like, who wants Crowell? I don't know. It's weird. It's
a
weird prospect. But I think he will bounce back. I don't think he's damaged goods at this point.
Yeah.
But right now he has trended downward in a bit of a slump.
He's trended downward, but he's just like that guy. He's going to be reliable. He's going to get some stuff going. He's also going to have bad weeks. He's up and down.
All right.
But his good weeks are good weeks, though.
Yeah,
like he's shown the ability to have big games.
I just mentioned it because, you know.
He's had a couple of big games this year. I feel like that's great from a running back perspective.
Yeah, and it's
33%
like
of the time he's done good.
When's McCown coming back? If McCown can come back.
Hopefully soon. Cross my fingers and my toes.
All right, dude. Okay, what about Jeremy Hill? What do you do?
Damaged goods, but it's side note. With Jeremy Hill, he kind of does this a lot. Like, he's a good
You don't know what you're going to get from that motherfucker.
And then, like, I would say put him on your bench, but then he has a 20-point game the second you do that. And I would say play him, but you can't afford to have him fucking disappear and not do shit. And the Bengals' offense as a whole is kind of rather inconsistent, you could say. It's not what we're used to seeing. You know, we know what they're doing. We know what they can do. Or what they used to be able to do. But yeah, Jeremy Hill.
I don't know.
No, I don't like him, man.
Yeah, it's like you don't know what you're going to get from Jeremy Hill. If you
trade his ass.
If you score big on Jeremy Hill, that is the best feeling. I remember one time that happened for me.
Trade Jeremy Hill for Crowell.
No! If you're a Crowell owner, don't trade for Hill.
This is the perfect time to do it because the Bengals are playing the Browns this week. And you can just, like, hopefully dupe the person and be like, dude, this is Jeremy Hill's breakout game, you idiot.
I think Duke Johnson is the guy that... we should be trading for.
Duke Johnson has these types of games, but he doesn't get enough volume from the backfield.
Let's keep hitting
this
some names.
This last game was his first rushing touchdown of his career, and it took garbage time, 36 seconds left in the game to do so.
Yeah, but he caught a lot of passes.
He caught passes. That's what he does. I'm sorry, but he doesn't normally get touchdowns, guys. Duke Johnson's a solid flex play. I shouldn't even say solid. I should say he's a risky flex play. Okay, like I liked him at the beginning of the year because he was getting like 9, 10, 12 points. Then he had like 5 or 6 last week. But then this most recent week, he had a good game. But a good game for him is over 15 points. I mean, like I said, risky flex play. Duke Johnson, if you want to trade for him, go ahead. I have him. I'm trying to rip someone off for him. But I'm also not the type of guy to rip anyone off. So it's really, I feel like I'm stuck with him. So, you know, he's just going to be that guy that I need in the bye week. Like, maybe this week, I might have to start him against you. Unless I can pick up the guy I want off of waivers.
That's right. Mike and I are playing each other. We're not going to talk this week after this.
Michael Crabtree, damaged goods. He's trending downward. Amari Cooper starting to get it going. I own Michael Crabtree, so this hits home for me. I think he is trending downward. I feel like, again, if anyone's interested, go test the market, see what you can do for him. I'm not saying he's not a playable option. He's shown the ability to have big games and mediocre games. But he's recently shown the ability to have stinkers too. So he's kind of like this weird guy that you just got to like hope for the best on any given matchup. He's the type of guy that can do well against a bad matchup and then kind of shit the bed against a good one. So that's why I like to trade guys like that. I like consistency. I like guys that I know I'm going to get no matter what.
Cole Beasley.
With Michael Crabtree, it's become that situation where you don't know what you're going to get. He's still a decent play. He's low-end wide receiver 2. Maybe mid-tier wide receiver 2. But like I said, he's shown the ability to put up stinkers, and Cooper's starting to get it going. So if you can trade him, trade him. He's trending down.
Randall Cobb.
Trending upward.
Trending upward?
I would say he's trending upward. He had a good game before this last game against the Cowboys.
It's been a rough road, though, to that
It's been a rough road, but I feel like with Cobb, his stock was so low before that good game. He finally showed a big game, so it's kind of like, all right, well,
maybe you buy
he can
low
still do
on
it.
Cobb.
It's kind of like if Edelman has a good game and then the next week shits the bed, I'm still going to say Edelman's trending upward because he's at least showing you he can still have a big game. Cobb has done the same thing. The Packers, say what you want about how they've been playing. They are playing their rival, the Bears. I mean, it's at home. It's in Green Bay.
I like Cobb against the Bears.
Cobb
obviously,
could do
Jordan
really well.
Nelson against the Bears
I think you can start him against the Bears. So I'm going to say he's trending upward.
Let's talk about Will Fuller. Is he damaged goods?
Oh, shit. That's a good one. I feel like he's not really damaged goods at this point. I feel like he's done really well where you can afford. I think it's been last couple weeks he's kind of shit the bed. And then that 1 week against New England. But he also has had 3 really solid weeks. So he's 50-50. But his good weeks are really good weeks. And his bad weeks are really bad weeks. I'd like to see him get more in the middle here. Maybe 15, 12, 15. Just kind of become a consistent guy. But he's more of that big play guy anyway. I think he's hit or miss any given week. Whereas it was looking like a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. He was like a really good start. But that's the problem. Is you say he's for sure a good start 3 weeks ago, and then the next 2 weeks he shits the bed. You know, so it's not I think you can say he's damaged goods, but don't panic. Osweiler had that comeback against the Colts. It was looking really bad for him. It was looking bad for Hopkins. Lamar Miller was trending down. Will Fuller was the guy keeping it alive while those guys were going through their funk. So if he goes through a little funk of his own and those guys start to get it going, maybe he comes back. He becomes that guy that gets 15 to 20 points, a solid double-digit game later in the year. But again, I'm an open-minded guy. If you can trade him, but don't panic. And don't let anyone be like, oh, he's had 2 bad games. And it's like, well, Emmanuel Sanders started off the year with 2 bad games. Look what he did week 3. Like, you could say this across the board with a number of different players. Like, oh, well, they had 2 or 3 bad games, but then they had this huge game. Will Fuller's the same sort of guy. He's in that category where he can still have big games. I don't think you got to panic. So I'm going to say no on damaged goods. But he's also a much more riskier start.
All right. I think a big obvious one is Dez Bryant. If you're in a redraft league, do you try to trade for him? If you have him, do you wait and try to start him? What do you do with Dez Bryant? He's damaged goods, but someone's got to start him.
No comment.
Dez Bryant is
for real,
the enigma.
Fuck that. I ain't commenting on that bitch. Sorry, Dez.
Yeah, it's like...
Sorry, Dez.
Yeah, sorry, Dez, but
trying to be
if you're a Dez owner, you're stuck. If someone wants to trade for him, get rid of him.
Yes!
Take Devontae Booker for Dez Bryant.
There you go.
And get Cameron Meredith, too.
That's a good, there you go. Trade Dez for a prospect or a what could be. Go ahead and do it. Just fucking do it. He hasn't been doing nothing for you anyway, whatever. You've been getting by without him, so why not trade him? Trade him before he comes back for someone that could be good. Might as well.
What about Deshaun Jackson? Is he damaged goods, or is he a guy that you can just, like, you know what, buy low on?
I'm worried that he's kind of banged up, too. I think he's still on the field. He's playing through it. Again, Deshaun Jackson, we know who he is. He's this guy that can have really bad games. He's a disappearing act. He's just out there running routes, not doing shit. But then he has these games where he just nuts for you. But he's no longer that guy. When he nuts, it's 35 to 40. It's only 20 to 25. Sometimes it's only 18 or 19.
I have a really good one.
So Deshaun, we were high on him before the year. That was assuming he would be healthy and fired up, and the Redskins were going to be a functional offense, which they still are not bad, but they're not like dominating like some people thought. So Deshaun Jackson's damaged goods in my opinion. I think you can't drop him, so you can try to trade him. Don't put a guy like that on your bench. Don't put any of these damaged goods on your bench. Like trade. I'm a trading type of guy. Like trade. Deshaun Jackson, you can afford to go for a prospect.
All right.
Same thing with Dez. Go for a prospect with Deshaun Jackson.
I got 2 good ones for you. All right, the first one. Hold on, I had it. I just had it.
Man, my ears are fucking hot. They're roasting, man.
All right, okay. Sorry about that, guys. Stephon Diggs, damaged goods.
Oh man, I kind of want to like hold off and see what he does after the bye week. Maybe like they worked on a way to get him more involved. Let's see what happens after this game. I don't want to say damaged goods because he's shown that he can have big games, and I can't say damaged goods if I said a couple weeks ago Bradford's looking like a guy you might be able to start because he hasn't thrown any interceptions. But let's just see what they do after the bye. If they come out firing, it's been what we've seen the whole season. It's like, yeah, I don't think he's damaged goods. But if he puts up another shitty game and it's just like they're still winning without him.
Okay, yes. Okay, I think a big one is Travis Benjamin. And it's like,
no, I can't say damaged goods.
I don't think he's done shit. I think
he's a big game guy every like 3 or 4 games.
Damn. Well, I feel
you just got to roll the dice.
He's got no trade value.
Yeah, he's really tough. That's why I'm saying play him every 3 to 4 weeks.
Just take one every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, just come up with your own pattern for Travis Benjamin.
Yeah, find that groove.
And just research the defense he's going against. If you really want to get into it, just if he's going against a defense they've given up big plays all year, then you got to play him because that's all he's good for is a big play. You know, like, look at his numbers. It's a big game like every fucking 3 weeks, man. I think he's only had 1 big game and 1 other okay game, and then the rest has been garbage. But that big game was a big game for him. But yes, damaged goods. You don't want to be sitting here guessing when to play a guy. You want to be packaging with someone to trade, like Josh should be doing.
Someone that you can always play.
Like Josh should package Miller and Benjamin for like Mark Ingram.
I think at this point it's safe to say Steve Smith
get someone else. But even though Miller is on the rise, But that was against the Colts. I mean,
So yeah, and then let's wrap this up and talk about Jay Ajayi. Okay, 200 yards. I think it was a fluke. But,
so is Arian Foster damaged goods?
I think obviously, duh.
So for those that have been waiting on him, it's time to just bail.
I say rock Ajayi for as long as you can, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a one-time thing. And he goes back to being mediocre.
He's probably going to go back to being
mediocre. And then you know what? You never know. Foster could do what I want him to do and catch little dump-off passes. That's all he's good for. Just catch those little 5 yards.
Foster's damaged goods. There's no way Jay Ajayi's losing this job after a 200-yard game. Jay Ajayi has afforded himself the right to be mediocre the rest of the year.
Yeah, so it's tough.
Foster's damaged goods. So Ken's calling. We're going to end this segment. We'll pick it up with waiver pickups, and we're going to talk to our buddy Ken and possibly Josh Michelson in the second segment. We're going to get this uploaded. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be doing some of this. We're going to be doing some of this. And we're going to be doing some of this, people, if you know what I mean. So